YouTube.
Hello, YouTube. This list sucks. This list sucks. This list sucks. This list sucks. It sucks.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back.
Hello, indeed. Welcome back to This List Sucks.
I'm Mike.
Where we have boxes of wine.
I mean, some of us are sophisticated enough to have bottles.
That's not me. And I'm JB. He already said his mic. Hopefully you remember that from a second ago. Here we
Just
are.
in case you have short-term memory issues. Yeah, we're back again. It's been a little bit of time since our last episode.
2 weeks, just about.
Has it been 2 weeks?
2 weeks in a day, I think.
So sorry, everyone.
Oh, it's not so bad. We planned on it. I think we even let people know in the I'm pretty sure we let people know in the episode that it was going to be 2 weeks.
Yeah, we tried. There'll be a little break between this one too, just because we gotta get ready. Man, coming up on a big anniversary on this next one.
It is a big anniversary. It's 100, right? Another 100.
Yep,
and,
another 100. Finished with the first 300 down to like the real meat and potatoes, we're hoping anyway.
And it's going to be pretty close to your birthday.
Yeah, it'll be within a couple of days of the birthday. That'll be fun.
Another birthday episode.
And it'll be a wine popper. That'll be fun.
A champagne. We gotta purchase that. We gotta select and source that.
Yeah, we can do that though. That'll be fun. So you were gigging this weekend?
I was indeed. Yep. Pale Blue Earth. My original music band played here in Des Moines at a much loved venue called the Des Moines Yacht Club. If you're around Des Moines, sure you've been.
Has everything been peaceful and copacetic at the yacht club?
Oh yeah, it's been great. I mean, it always has, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh shit! I almost started playing the theme song again. It's always been fine at the yacht club. I mean, for those tuning in around Des Moines, don't believe what you're reading in the news.
Those fucking assholes.
I've probably played 200 nights at the yacht club over the last 6 or 7 years. That's probably not an exaggeration, because I've played there a minimum of once a month with my cover band, Johnny Novocaine, and then several other times with various other bands, you know? So, and I've never once seen a single violent encounter in the yacht club.
Those sons of bitches. They're just trying to gentrify the fuck out of that neighborhood.
Indeed.
I saw a super fun show this weekend on Saturday night.
Oh yeah, I haven't even asked you about that yet. So how was it? What
was amazing. So on Saturday night, I took my my eldest son Michael to see Girl Talk at Emo's in Austin on Saturday night, and it was the first time I had been to Emo's, and so that was fun because that's a maybe like 2/3 of the size of Val Air.
Okay.
Right. In terms of like overall square footage, if you will. But it has like double-decker height. And so it's like a super tall ceiling. So for Girl Talk, there were a bunch of like these kind of beach-like inflatables and clouds that he had blown up in there that was kind of fun with the light show. And they also had, just multiple like balloon drops and confetti drops and toilet paper shoots and just a whole bunch of other crazy shit. And for those that are not familiar with Girl Talk, we're not going to encounter it on this list because it's basically just a bunch of mashups from a DJ where, you'll hear something like ELO or The Cure or the fucking Toadies as kind of a baseline, if you will, and then over the top of it, it's usually contemporary hip hop that he plays. So you might hear Tupac, you might hear Biggie, you might hear, in fact, Millie. Like he does a mashup with Millie from the Carter 3, which we're going to be talking about on this week, and it's a fucking party, dude. It's like the greatest house party that you never went to in high school. Does that make sense?
That you wish you went to in high school.
Exactly. Because if you would have gone to a fucking party like that in high school, you'd have been like, what the fuck am I doing with my life?
Well, I'm glad it was awesome. Did Mikey enjoy himself?
Dude, immensely. Yeah, we went out to we found this burger joint / dive bar called the Jackalope on East 6th in Austin. We went and we had burgers, and then Mike couldn't help himself, so we got some chili cheese fries after that. And then and then we wound our way to Emo's, caught there was actually an opener there too, a local band, very similar to kind of Alabama Shakesy, right? So super soulful black female vocalist with a really, really great backup band. Very fucking cool opener.
That's cool that Girl Talk had an opener. I'm surprised by that.
I was too, because on the ticket it listed Hugh Augustine, which is like basically like a hip hop, like a rapper that's been around for a long time. And so that's kind of what I was expecting. But then whenever I caught, basically like a blues rock soul act instead, it was I was really okay with it. They were super good. Super, super good.
Nice. That's awesome.
And
go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, in addition to that, they were also selling vinyl, and I had never seen. So my favorite Girl Talk album is All Day, and you can actually go out to his website, which is illegalarts.com, and you can download it for free. But I didn't know that he ever did a vinyl release of it, and they had vinyls of that album there at the show, and so I also picked up All Day on vinyl, which is
of course
rad. Yeah, because that is a super, super hot record. And he played a bunch of he spun a bunch of the mashups off that record, and so it was a super sweet night. Very cool.
Very cool. Oh, you know what? I actually also saw some live music recently that I should mention. Yeah, a band that just rolled through Des Moines this past week that they've been here once before. This band called Yak Attack. You ever heard of them?
No, who the fuck is Yak Attack? They sound awesome.
They are fucking awesome. They're this really cool like Jamtronica type band from Portland, and they're touring right now. And it was really sad because these guys were incredible. And I guess the last time they came here, it was pretty solid, good crowd and stuff. But man, they were. My friend keeps texting me. It's like I think it was last Monday night actually, and he's like, "Dude, you got to get down here. You got to get down here." And I was like, "All right, I don't know if it's going to happen tonight, man." And he's like, "No, just eventually." I head down there to the gas lamp, which is where it is, and dude, there are like 8 people there, and they are just. I know, and they are just killing it. I mean, it's like amazing. Everybody that's there is just totally sucked in, just like staring, watching every minute. And it was great. Like, I'm really glad I went down and did it. But these guys play like pretty big shows and festivals around town, but I guess just Des Moines did not know what to expect, and so nobody showed up. I mean, granted, it was a Monday night, but still.
That's what I was gonna say too. Monday night shows, that's fucking brutal. Like, I've seen really good crowds at Thursday night shows, and I can justify a Thursday night show, but fuck, man, Monday, that's brutal.
But you got to think, I mean, they're on tour. They're probably not going to be like, yeah, let's hit Des Moines on Friday night.
On Friday night.
They're like, let's hit Chicago Friday night. We'll hit Des Moines on Monday night.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I would much rather have any act swing through on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or a Thursday. And if I'm there, I'm going to support it. Right.
Yeah.
Because we should get more of those like kind of off night shows between a Kansas City and a Twin Cities, or a Kansas City and a Chicago. Fuck, even a Kansas City to a St. Louis. Come on up. Come see us.
Yeah. Do it. Yeah. But it was cool though. And I picked up their vinyl as well.
Nice.
And I haven't actually spun it yet because I just got it. But Bryce, the bass player in my band, Pale Blue Earth, he saw these guys last time they were in town, and he's listened to a lot of their music, and he's pretty into them. He was working, he wasn't able to come to the show, but he was telling me all about this new album that they dropped that I got on vinyl. And obviously, he doesn't do this on vinyl because just of the mechanics of playing a vinyl record. But the digital version, the way it's like the way the music is structured is the end of the last song leads right into the beginning of the first song. So it's like a
if you play it on repeat. Yep.
If you play it on repeat, you'll never know when it ended because it just like seamlessly loops back to the beginning and continues. And like there's a lot of like imagery on the album cover that kind of evokes that that idea. I think there's
Nice.
continuous circles. I think the track names are all in a circle.
That's fun. That's what Giz did that with Nonagon Infinity. You can do the exact same thing with that record from King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, and if you put it on a repeat, you'll never fucking know when it ends and when it
Yep,
stops.
we were talking about that. I remember that. Yeah, and
Yep.
well, I remember that we were talking about it, but I couldn't remember who we were talking about it with. So thanks for reminding me. King
Well,
Gizzard.
because we had talked about it because I had just bought the vinyl and I hadn't spun the vinyl, but I was hoping that it would end on the B side with like an endless ring on the inside. Does that make sense? Kind of like what the
Yeah.
Beatles did on the White Album. Because if you play the White Album, the very last track of Revolution Number 9, it doesn't ever skip the track. And so when you get to the end of that vinyl, it's just number 9, number 9, number 9, number 9. And it's because of the way that they cast the pressing. But they didn't do that with Nonagon Infinity. I was really, really shocked that they didn't put like a singular ending groove in the vinyl that just kept clicking back onto itself. I was shocked.
Yeah.
That
really would have been a really cool idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuckers.
Listen to any new music at all?
Well, so I was going to bring up Record Store Day. So did you run down and grab anything on Record Store Day on Saturday?
I did not go at all. Nope.
You fucking communist.
There wasn't really anything that I was really after. I mean, there was that Dead record, that Dead release that would have been kind of cool. I think it was another like Europe 72 show or something like that.
Yeah. Yep. I think it was too. And
did you get your Czarface?
Yeah. So Justin picked me up a copy of Czarface. I actually found Czarface down here at Waterloo Records because Mikey and I, that was our first stop whenever we pulled into Austin. Really, really good record shop. It's probably the best record shop I've ever been to outside of Amoeba in Berkeley, California. And actually still had a number of copies of Czarface, but I'd already asked Justin to pick one up for me. And so because I wanted some geographical separation, I bought Mike one down here, and then I had Justin pick me one up there. And the reason why I wanted two that were geographically separated is because each one of those vinyls comes with a pack of like trading cards that they made, because Czarface is like heavily influenced by kind of like comic book and sci-fi and kind of wrestling and that type of pop culture type shit. And so for this one, they don't even drop the digital copy of this record until Friday. So everybody that's picked up the vinyl gets to hear it like a week in advance. And they also released like this pack of trading cards with each one of those vinyl releases. And so I think there's 2 different series. And what Mike and I are trying to figure out is if like series 1 was all released in the vinyl, because they also did like a cassette tape release that comes with a lunchbox, and it comes with another set of trading cards, which it's just ridiculous that he and I are even concerned with any of this. But I love the notion of shipping a record with kind of collectible shit like this. Does that make sense?
Love that too. Whenever I get a record that has collectible, I especially love when I get like a really old copy of a record and it still has the whatever collectible items came with it, which I have a couple of those,
Yeah, like the White Album that I have is a vintage copy of the White Album that has like the 4 8x10s of like the Beatles headshots. And mine also has the poster in it too, because there was originally like this big poster with John is kind of laying in this pool of bluish water on one part of it. And I don't even remember what's on the rest of it because I haven't, I just leave it folded up and I just leave it in the gatefold because I think it's cool. I think it's cool to have it. So,
yeah, very cool. Well, that's awesome.
So what about you? New music for you?
I haven't really listened to any. Go ahead.
Well, I was just thinking about the band, about the new record that you bought at that show. Was it Yak Attack?
Yak Attack, indeed. Yep. Yes. I haven't really listened to any new music other than that, but I do see that there's a new King Gizzard album. Did you see that?
Fuck no. Are you kidding me?
Just released this past Friday.
Oh, I love me some Gizzy.
Omnium Gatherum.
Oh shit. I'm in. I'm gonna have to listen to it sometime here over the course of the next couple of days because I got a little bit of driving to do.
Oh, I forget you're driving. Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Tell everyone where you're going this weekend.
Yeah, this weekend, woohoo! First festival of the year for Michael. I get to go to Sweetwater 420, which is in Centennial Park in Atlanta, Georgia, and headliners. Thursday night pre-party is going to feature a cover set from Humphreys McGee and random special guests. That's what I'm super excited about. String Cheese is also doing a set that night. And then on Friday night, String Cheese is doing 2 sets. Humphreys is playing 2 traditional sets. I don't think Goose is that night because I think Goose is on Saturday night, as well as Trey Anastasio Band, which I've never seen. Really, really excited about that. There's another act playing on Saturday. I don't remember who the fuck it is off the top of my head. But then on Sunday we got Oysterhead and Joe Roos is Almost Dead. And the undercard is super strong at Sweetwater too. Jennifer Hartswick is playing in a couple of different bands because she's going to be there with Trey. Hotel and Friends is going to be there, I think, on Thursday night, maybe on Friday too. And then there's some really fun jazz acts like Butcher Brown is kind of like a hip hoppy type jazz act that I really dig that I haven't seen them before and I get to see them. And then also All Them Zoos is going to be there too. That's a fun fucking jazzy type of 3-piece type deal.
You should check out O'Teal and Friends if it doesn't conflict with any of your other shows.
It doesn't. He's playing on Thursday night before the Humphreys cover set. So I'm definitely going to go and check out O'Teal and Friends.
That's going to be awesome. I love him.
Yeah. He plays with Dead & Company, right?
Yeah, he does. And he used to play with Allman Brothers, I believe.
Fuck. That's ridiculous street cred.
He's an incredible bass player, but I love his voice too. He's got a really great voice. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Super excited about it. Super, super excited about it.
It's going to be great. I'm jealous of you guys.
You got something coming up this weekend too, though. You got something coming up this weekend too?
I do, yeah. For anybody here in Des Moines, my band Pale Blue Earth is playing out at Fire Trucker Brewery for some outdoor event that should be really fun. They're calling it like Tapping the Garden. I think it's like the first big party out in the beer garden of the year. And there's another act playing, Joshua Sinclair, and then my band Pale Blue Earth is playing at about 6 o'clock, I think is the plan. And hopefully it's gonna be a nice day. Come on out.
Does the weather look inviting for this weekend in the Des Moines area?
Let's look right now for the first time.
I'm super excited because this weekend in Austin, it was fucking beautiful. It was 87, 88, 89 degrees. Sun's out. Like, it felt so good to be in warm weather. And Atlanta, it's supposed to be upper 70s, low 80s all fucking weekend with sun.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm jealous of that. Over the weekend here, it was pretty good. Although there was a crazy storm Saturday night, but like tornado sirens, like diagonal sideways rain, super heavy. So that was a thing. But and then it was pretty nice Sunday. Like Sunday was maybe 65 a lot of the day, and now today it's like 37 degrees right now.
Yeah, I've talked with a few different people back up north, and everybody just says that it fucking sucks. I talked to somebody in St. Paul today. It was like 31 fucking degrees in the Twin Cities today.
Feels like it's hanging on this year.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, it sure does.
I don't regret being down south, and I don't regret staying down south for the next few days because this is like literally the weather down here right now is flawlessly perfect. Like lots of wind, but a ton of fucking sunshine, and I love summer. Love me some summer.
Oh yeah. Well, should we dive into the records for this week?
I think we should.
I think we should too. Just as a little frame of reference for any people who are just wandering in here, we are going through the Rolling Stone list of the 500 greatest albums of all time. We've made it pretty far, and today we're picking things up on number 210. So, you ready for 210, Mike? Let's do it.
All right. Coming in at 210. Oh, are you reading or am I reading?
Either way.
Okay.
Go for it.
Okay, I'll read. 210 from 1991. the monolith of a collection entitled The Birth of Soul from Ray Charles. Rolling Stone says Ray Charles is just about the first person to perfect that mix of blues and gospel, holy and filthy, that we know as soul music. He was knocking around Seattle when Atlantic bought out his contract in 1952. For the next 8 years, he turned out brilliant singles such as What I'd Say and I Got a Woman. This box collects every R&B side he cut for Atlantic, though his swinging take on My Bonnie will have you thinking it covers his Atlantic jazz output as well. I don't know that you could come up with a better description than this box collects every R&B side he cut for Atlantic.
Yeah. I mean, that is a good description.
And
you think
also,
too many R&B?
I mean, you tell me, because at the end of the day, I love Ray Charles. I love what he does, but I think there's 53 tracks in this collection. And my question would be, do we need 53 examples of how great he was? Because he was great. And I love all this music. I could listen to this for a fuck all long time. But after 5 hours, which was like my cold listen and then my second listen, I was like, cool, I get it. I'm down.
Yeah, you were like, I got it the first time. Same here. I mean, I love Ray Charles. Like, huge fan of his voice, huge fan of his piano playing and his writing. But again, I mean, probably gonna say the same shit we usually do when we get an album like this, which is like,
Yeah.
why didn't they just pick an album that he released? Because I mean, he definitely released some albums, right? I'm kind of looking through right now at his discography. So, yeah, I mean, there were plenty of full length albums.
Yep.
Why didn't they just pick one of those?
Yeah. Or, I mean, if you want to, like, why would you do something that's so limiting to what he did collectively as an artist? Because here's my question to you, and here's my pressing question. Is this the last that we see of Ray Charles?
Yeah, I would think so. You don't think so?
I mean, I don't disagree. I do think this is the only Ray Charles we get. My question, though, is does everything that he did after 1960 just blow?
No.
You know what I mean?
It doesn't at all. Yeah, this is pretty pigeonholing of a collection, right? I mean, it is pretty much stylistically just like the R&B stuff, right? Like, he doesn't really have too many of his ballads on there, does it? I'm trying to remember.
No, exactly, because I don't think he did most of that stuff until the tenor of his voice became as rich as it did as he aged. You know, because you don't get, to me,
Well,
what do you think?
yeah, no, I'm totally in agreement. I'm just wondering, like, maybe we are getting another one. This album doesn't have fucking Georgia on my mind on it. You know?
Right? Yes. Thank you.
How can you not have Georgia on my mind on the greatest album, like somewhere represented on this list? You know?
Yeah,
So
because in my mind, that is like that's the Ray Charles that I'll hang on to. You know what I mean? Like there's so much power and there's so much gravitas in his voice, and that didn't come until he was far older than what he was at the end of the 1950s.
Yeah. And granted, I do love a lot of this stuff. Like, there's definitely standout songs. I mean, obviously, I Got a Woman is incredible. I love Drown in My Own Tears. I mean, at no point listening to this was I bummed to be listening to it. But
Never.
You're right that it doesn't really fully encompass the talents of Ray Charles.
And you said it best, right? It's the ballads, and it's the stuff that he started to do when he became more mature as an artist. Yeah. And that's it's just kind of this natural progression that's leaving this fucking universe size hole in his body of work in my mind. So to me, let's find let's find a 15 track greatest hits from his R&B collection, because I think you could easily distill this collection down to the best third of it. And then, we probably do need a more holistic Ray Charles album that encompasses what he did, in the 70s, in the 80s. Like
Yeah,
he was still producing music at that point.
pretty prolifically. Well, I guess it shows you how good of an artist he is that we're like sitting here like, yeah, all this shit is great, but what about all the other stuff he's done? That's like our complaint, our one complaint about this album being on here.
Yeah, is that it
You know?
just sells him short on how fucking great he is. Listen, testament,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I struggle. I struggle because there's not a box set that I regret listening to, especially when I think about like the Diana Ross and the Supremes. Like that Supremes box set was fucking ridiculously good. The Sam Cooke, right? Like that Sam Cooke was basically a box set kind of greatest hits of everything that he ever did that was spectacular. And I love that. Like I've as soon as I've got that on vinyl, I've spun that at least 3 times, mostly to my
Yeah.
wife's chagrin, which I can't explain. And down here I discovered that I did own Live at Harlem Square because I bought it last time I was down here and I just hadn't listened to it yet. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Oh, nice.
yeah, there's so much. Like there's so much, but I don't know. I feel like in the top 200, I don't know that we're gonna get another kind of Ray Charles greatest hits or something that like what album was Georgia released on? I don't know.
I'll find out. I'll find out right now. I don't know. I can see it go either way. I'm not gonna say for sure that
That this is it.
there is another one on here, but at the same time, Ray Charles is just such a massive artist, like in the fabric of music, that it wouldn't surprise me to see another one. The album that was released on was "The Genius Hits the Road," which was a
The live track?
1960 album.
What?
Yeah. It says the concept album focuses on songs written about various parts of the United States. That's interesting. I didn't even know that.
Makes you want to listen to
they're
the
all
motherfucker though, doesn't it?
It sure does. Yeah.
Because if George on My Mind is just one of the songs that he wrote about the United States, like what fucking other songs are on there?
Alabama Bound, Mississippi Mud, Moonlight in Vermont, New York's My Home. A lot of them are covers. Maybe even all of them.
Yeah.
I didn't realize George on My Mind wasn't written by him. Did you know that?
I never assumed that it was. I guess I always assumed it was a cover because I thought that he did that far later than 1960 too.
Yeah, 1960.
Wow. Fucking smart dude. This will be fun to put a pin in though. Just in terms of, do we get another Ray Charles before we get to the end
I'd
of
like
this
to.
list?
I definitely want Ray Charles fairly high on the list, but I'd like to reserve judgment on this album until we see what this list has in store for us.
Let's play the what if though. If this is the only Ray Charles, is it too low for you?
Yeah, probably move 50 up.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say 150. If this is the only Ray Charles, I want to see this around 150. I don't want to see it this low. If we get another Ray Charles, I hope that it is top 100. But I don't know what the fuck it would be. You know what I mean?
Whatever it is, though, that's where it belongs.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ray Charles, incredible. Can't say enough good things. And you know what? I would get this one on vinyl because I think it'd be fun to spin around one. I know they're all kind of the same.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them really are, which is not a complaint by any means necessarily.
No.
But I think that it'd be a fun one to spin.
It would. I don't know that I want to own that many fucking platters. That's like a 4-banger, right? At least.
Well, they're all pretty short, the songs,
Yeah, but it's just straight 2.5 hours.
2.5 hours. Yeah, it has to be 4.
It's got to be at least 4 platters. Yeah.
I bet you it's 5, actually. Yeah, because there's no way one. Well,
about a half hour. That's about the most you can get at one side of a LP before you
At
get
the very most. Yeah,
yeah, before you get serious sound degradation.
that's right. Cool. I don't think we have a Rex email. I'm gonna check real quick just to make 100% sure.
Yeah.
We do not.
No.
Rex is going to get back with us. Yes, he will.
Yeah.
But for now, let's go ahead and move on.
Mm-hmm.
Any other final thoughts on Ray Charles?
No, in fact, I'm super excited to talk about number 209.
Okay, 209. We got Run DMC. The album is Raising Hell. Working for the first time with producer Rick Rubin, the Hollis Queens crew of Run DMC and Jam Master Jay made an album so undeniable it forced the mainstream to cross over to hip hop. Peter Piper kicked the rhymes over a jingling cowbell sampled from an old jazz fusion record. On My Adidas, It's Tricky, and You Be Illin', Run and DMC talk trash while the DJ made their day. They even hit MTV with a vandalistic remake of Aerosmith's Walk This Way, featuring Steven Tyler and Joe Perry.
Fuck yeah. What did you think about this record? Did you love it?
I did enjoy it quite a bit. Yep.
There's so many just like what ended up becoming massive pop culture references all throughout this record that until you listen to the whole thing from start to back, I don't think that I don't know, at least for my generation in particular, this was like when this record dropped, you just heard it everywhere. And you heard everything from My Adidas to You Be Illin' to Walk This Way was fucking huge. I remember that video. It's a great video.
It's Tricky has to be one of the biggest ones, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I think that's one of probably the most like iconic hip hop hooks of all time.
Because everybody knows it. Rock a rhyme, that's right on time. It's tricky. Yeah.
I guess they sampled that one too. Is what that guitar part was.
Now I hear it.
Apparently there was some kind of legal contention in later years too.
What
they did it with permission.
What were your favorite tracks on here?
It's Tricky. I gave 5-star. I gave a few 5-star tunes. 4 actually. So I gave It's Tricky 5 stars. I gave Walk This Way 5 stars. That was really fun.
Yeah.
I mean, they basically invented rap rock, right?
Yeah.
Or rock rap or whatever.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it. Either way, Kid Rock, you're not original, motherfucker.
You know what, dude? I actually side story. This is gonna sound crazy, but it's funny because you just said that. I went to a little one-off event that was put on by like Laser 103.3 back in like it's probably like 2005, and it was here in Des Moines, and it was literally Run DMC and Kid Rock. That was the show. I'm not even making this up. So I saw Run DMC play. I think he opened for Kid Rock, actually.
Oh, poor DJ Run.
Yeah.
Poor Daryl. Fucking opening
up
for Kid Rock.
He had that TV show going on at the time. Remember that Rev Run TV show?
Oh, yeah.
The MTV reality show.
Yeah, the reality show about Russell Simmons and it wasn't Russell Simmons.
Run's house.
It was Run's house. Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love a lot of this. I loved Raising Hell. Like that was one that I gave 4 stars to. I really love Proud to Be Black. My Adidas is right up there.
I gave Proud to Be Black 5 as well.
Yeah, dude, that fucking beat was solid. And it's so crazy because the track right before that, like Dumb Girl, I didn't put any stars next to it. It was weird because I've never thought, like, I would never think of Run DMC as one of those kind of old school hip hop acts that would be easily called like super misogynistic and stuff. You know, like if you listen to anything West Coast from the same time period, right? Which would be like NWA and the Posse, Eazy-E, super misogynistic.
Far
Like,
more misogynistic.
yeah, insanely misogynistic. And so I never thought about Run DMC like that. But Dumb Girl is fucking so terrible. Like, it's not
Yeah.
good. Like, I don't like the beat on it. And the message is also just kind of, I don't know. It's super fucking misogynistic. I guess I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah. Yeah, I wrote down I wonder if how this would go over today. And it had to be kind of an early example of like rap misogyny though, right? Because like
Yeah.
NWA would have been a little bit after this, right?
I mean, this was 1989, right?
86, I think.
Oh, you motherfucker. Come on. Oh, you're right, 1986. Yeah, this probably would be because I don't think NWA and the Posse came out until 1987. Now, granted,
Yeah.
again, you're talking about like miles of difference between the misogyny that you get from NWA and the Posse versus this, but I mean, it's definitely there. And I don't think this plays well today at all.
Yeah. I loved You Be Illin'. That was probably my favorite track, I will say.
Really? That was your favorite?
Just so fun. Like you can tell that they're really enjoying it. And yeah, I love the go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say like that line where it's like small fry and Big Mac, you be
You Be Illin'. As the guy's ordering a small fry Big Mac at KFC, right?
At KFC. That's exactly right. Yeah. I'm right there. Right there with you.
And then the guy eats a can of dog food.
I wasn't I don't feel bad about any of the stars that I put on this album. I will admit that the only song I put 5 stars next to was Walk This Way. But that's not necessarily I don't think that's necessarily a reflection of this album because there's lots of 4 stars all over the place. Proud to Be Black, Raising Hell, It's Tricky. Peter Piper I put 3 next to, You Be Illin' I put 3 next to. And again, I think that I was looking at this relative from one track to the next, not as an absolute of track relative to the musical universe. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I
Absolutely.
don't think that's necessarily fair, but at the same time, I'm not going to argue with the placement of this record. Like, I actually really like where it's placed because I think that, let's be real, 209 is you're calling it the 209th greatest album of all time. And I think that it's fitting. I love how this record in a lot of ways kind of crosses over because if you think about King of Rock, which we listened to however many albums ago, there were no curse words on King of Rock. And
is that the last Run DMC?
Yeah, and King of Rock was released right before this one was. So I think that you get a little bit more Rick Rubin introduces a whole new layer of adventureness in terms of like where they go with the beats and the way that they're putting rock and rap together. It's really, really brilliant. And this would have been done right before Rick Rubin hooks up with the Beastie Boys to do License to Ill.
Yeah, because what year was that?
I believe that was also 1986, but let me perusing on that.
That has to be coming out soon.
Man, these things had to have been released right next to each other because License to Ill was released November 15th, 1986. And when Raising Hell was released. May 27th.
So the same year?
Same exact year, basically 6 months apart. Wow. So Rick Rubin does this, and then he turns right back around and does the Beastie Boys.
Good year for Rick.
Absolutely, dude. Cheers to Rick Rubin, 1986. A good year, Rick. A good year indeed.
Rick
What do
made
you
a
think
shit
about
ton of money that year.
exactly? What do you think about placement?
Yeah, I think I'm cool with it. I mean, these guys were just so huge in the pioneering of the genre, wouldn't you say?
Yeah,
Maybe it goes
without
a little
question.
unappreciated today. I feel like you don't hear them as mentioned as as often. Maybe that's just me, but
No, I think you're right because I think like Daryl McDaniels or DMC, he kind of like there for a while. He was all over VH1, right? With like kind of that "Where Are They Now" type of crowd, which was
Mhm.
actually really cool because I always appreciated him. He had a very cerebral approach to like what he thought about pop culture and music and all of that shit together. And so it was fun to see him on those shows, but then you also had Run's House. You know what I mean? And they almost kind of turned into caricatures of
Big time.
their own stardom, which is a little bit weird. And J Master J, like that's just fucking super sad, dude, because that dude got gunned down in a apparently in some type of coke deal gone bad in like 2004, I think is when he was killed.
Gotcha.
Inside of a record studio, no less. Boo.
Really?
Yeah.
Talk about it.
Supposedly he was like in debt to the IRS, and so he tried to orchestrate a relatively large coke deal, and it didn't work out, apparently.
Wow, who would do that to Jam Master J?
Somebody that Jam Master J owed a lot of money to for some blow that he bought that he was hoping to move. Apparently. Allegedly.
Allegedly. Let the record
Allegedly.
show.
All right. What do you think? You want to move on?
Let's do it. Let's move on.
Because we have a milli stuff to talk about. Okay. Number 208 from 2008, Lil Wayne's The Carter 3. Rolling Stone says by 2008, Lil Wayne contained multitudes. Best rapper alive, Pussy Monster, Martian, Wheezy F Baby, and the F is for, well, pretty much any word starting with F. The Carter 3 was a monument to this multiple personality menagerie. A Millie, a glorified freestyle, fully crossed over to the mainstream, while Lollipop, a robotic R&B jam. Rightly, Beth and an audience was ready to invest Wayne's croaky, Sarah-battled singing voice.
Sarah
Jesus
Battles. It's
Christ.
not wrong. Yeah.
No, more than a decade later, even Wayne's most austere personalities are still birthing musical descendants. Dude, this speaks to you, right? This speaks to like your what, maybe your 8th grade self.
Oh, dude,
That's
more like
terrible.
senior in high school self.
Oh my god, you were a 2008 grad?
2010. But you know that song Millie got real popular in like 2009.
Okay. I
At
believe
least
you.
at least at my school.
I believe you. I'm sure amongst most yeah, I'm sure amongst people it was super popular. I wasn't it's not that I wasn't into hip hop. I just wasn't listening to like I was never really into Kanye until far later, you know?
Mhm.
So at this point in time, this probably would have been around maybe graduation or something like that. And I probably would have been shitting all over Kanye. And so the notion that Lil Wayne was going to make it into my regular listening was almost laughable for me at that point.
Pretty far out at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. Although this is probably pretty close to the Blueprint 3 from Jay-Z, and I loved the Blueprint 3 from Jay-Z. So it's very selective hip hop listening on my part.
Yeah. Because this was kind of past your hip hop years, right? Or was this before you got really into them? Because you did have some hip hop years, right?
Oh yeah. No, but I got really into West Coast gangster rap in like 1988 when I first moved from Ukiah, because when I was born like a couple hours north of San Francisco, and when I was in the middle of 7th grade is when I moved down to Turlock in the valley. And basically that summer after I moved to Turlock, so I moved to Turlock in the middle of the year, and that summer is when I cajoled my mom into buying me Easy Does It. And that was fucking game over from that point. I'd never
All
heard
downhill from there.
I'd never heard anything like Easy Does It. And I just became I became wildly obsessed with fucking West Coast hip hop. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. And that stayed through high school. Like, I mean, I listened to plenty of rap in high school, but when I was in high school, that would have been The Chronic. Like, The Chronic was massive when I was a junior. And
Heavy
it
Doggy
came out,
style too.
yeah, and it came out a year before. So that second year, so 1993, when I was actually a junior, would have been Doggy Style. And yeah, that was fucking huge. Warren G, Regulators, all that shit. Like, really, really big into it. And I also listened to Wu-Tang at the time, but I didn't necessarily listen to I didn't listen to a lot of Nas. I wasn't listening to a lot of Jay-Z. And I knew LL Cool J and Run DMC, but that was because like Raising Hell and everything like that was out when I was really young,
When you were a
but
kid. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I was in elementary school when that shit came out, but I was
Right.
all over it because I loved MTV. I was like in third grade. My
Oh, yeah.
parents used to punish me by telling me that I couldn't watch MTV before I went to school of a morning.
Back when it was just music, right?
Yeah,
On
yeah,
MTV.
they just
Yeah.
played music videos, basically. There was no programming, there was
Even
no
I'm not
such thing.
I'm not young enough to have missed out on that at all. Like there was a period of time where, and I was talking to one of my students about this the other day, just these kids that are just like bullshit. There's no way that that's true, whatever you're telling me right now. And I'm like, I shit you not. I used to, I didn't have internet, or I mean, we did have internet, but it was like a huge ordeal to get on it. And like, usually my parents were just like, nah, fuck no. And I was like, you know, and so, like we had a computer, but like it was a whole thing. Like it was dial up. You know, you couldn't receive phone calls and stuff when it was going on. So
Yeah.
I used to like I remember there were a couple bands that I really wanted to hear their music video. So my brother and I just had to sit in front of the TV during the music video hour on MTV and hope they played it because I didn't have the CD. You know, so that was it.
And
That was our option for hearing the song.
I very sincerely love the fact that knowing your mom and dad, like I can literally picture your dad. You mean like, yo, dad, can I get on the internet for a little bit? And you just being like, no, your fucking phone doesn't work when you get on the internet. So no, you're not getting on the internet right now.
Yep. It was yeah. You remember those days?
Dude, I absolutely remember those days. I remember my favorite story about early internet was when I was in high school. It was all about dial-up modems, exactly what you were talking about. But we used to dial up modems and connect to online bulletin boards only because we knew of a handful of online bulletin boards that you could connect to and download like nude pictures. And so it would be like, Dad, don't worry. I'm just going to connect to Greg's house. Really? What are you doing with Greg's house? Don't worry about it, Dad.
Don't worry.
It's going to take 43 minutes to download this picture, but don't worry about what I'm doing right
It's like
now.
one picture.
Yes, exactly.
Classic.
Okay, so let's get back to Lil Wayne. So no, this wasn't like burned into my vernacular by any stretch of the imagination. And if I'm being honest, there's not much that I really enjoy on here. Not a ton.
I'll tell you what, I enjoy this one a lot more than the last Lil Wayne we had.
You know what? I've moved on books, but for like when we get to the end of this thing and when we do some of our dissections, I actually want to go back and I want to compare stars to the Carter 3 versus how I starred the Carter 2. Because I very genuinely believe that I gave far more stars. I think I gave far more stars to the last Lil Wayne album. And I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why I would have done that because the songs that I really like on here, I really, really like a lot. And I know for a fact that I didn't feel that strongly about anything on the Carter 2.
Yeah. And I made it pretty clear when we did the Carter 2 how I felt about, you know, at least that record and about Lil Wayne's kind of persona. Kind of annoys me. His voice, not really my thing that much, although sometimes it's undeniably cool. And it does come through on this album for me at times. There are certainly songs that I do not like. You know, there's a lot of this album that I would rather not listen to. but there are some songs that I really do like, and there are even a couple 5-star songs that I put
What?
on here. Yeah.
Outside of
Um,
Lollipop.
okay, Lollipop is a 0-star song for me.
No, are you kidding me? Why?
I hate that song.
Why?
I
Do you
hate it.
really?
I
Just
don't
because
know.
it got played the fuck out?
Probably. I just don't even think it's a good. It's like na, 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 na. That's like the whole thing. I just sing you the whole song. You don't have to even listen to it. Do you like that one?
It's so slinky, dude. Like, I do love it. Yeah. I love Lollipop. Love. Okay, so my standouts. So Lollipop, the most stars that I gave were to Lollipop. Absolutely. The most stars that I gave to. And I only gave that song 4 stars. But the 3-star songs that I really, really love, I love Mrs. Officer. I love Dr. Carter. I love Millie. And I love Mr. Carter.
I liked Mr. Carter. Okay, not one of my tops. I loved. Okay, Amelie. I love. I think Amelie is a great song. I really love the stylisticness of like the style of it. I love the simplicity of it, and I love how it's just so back and forth. So the whole thing is like bass goes on for like 4 bars, and then it comes back out, and then it goes back in, and just the way that he like phrases his verses as they lead up to when the bass drops back in is just super dope. I think part of it for me is the nostalgia, because that song, I know almost every word of it because it was just a song that you knew the words to when you were a senior in high school at Johnson High School. But I think it holds up.
Eel. That's my favorite part of that song. Motherfucker, I'm eel.
He like really digs in on that.
He does.
Yeah.
And I'll also say this, like that hook in there, which if you've never heard the song, it's literally like a milli, a milli, a milli, a milli, a milli. And
the
then
whole time it's like a milli, a milli, a milli,
yes.
a milli, a milli, a milli, a milli.
And the bass that's falling behind that is like fucking just like bowel shaking. Like, so it's just this monster bass track behind that. So that's a sample that Girl Talk plays in his show, and he mashes that shit up. And when that came on, it's fucking gas, dude. It is gas on a goddamn bonfire when you're in a really, really hype environment.
Yeah. No, it's a fun song. Dr. Carter I loved as well. I gave them 4 stars. Funny idea there, just the concept behind it, you know.
Yes. And,
I like that part of that song where he stole that line from the Kanye song, and then he proceeded to like acknowledge it right away, and he was like, I don't mind, Kanye is a great rapper, you know. It's basically what he said. He's like, I don't care about it's more recycling, it's not like I stole it, like, you know, he said it in Lil Wayne talk. But I liked the last song quite a bit. Don't get it, the 10-minute one.
I did too. And actually my favorite part of that song is the part at the very end where, I mean, and it's beautiful because you can hear everything that he's doing inside of the studio. And so when he gets to that part where he goes, yo, I'm going to take my glasses off because I want to see what y'all are going to do with this. You can hear his glasses kind of hitting like the music stand or whatever is sitting there that he kind of tosses his glasses onto. Yeah. And I love the rawness of it because it really feels like Lil Wayne is sitting inside of a recording booth, high as fuck.
I'm pretty sure he literally. There's at one point where you can hear a lighter, and he's talking about how he's going to spark up. I guarantee he actually just smoked a joint while he was recording this. Like, why would he not?
Absolutely, because he even makes the comment. He's like, "Oh shit, that's the real good weed."
Yeah.
After he hits it, and then he proceeds to just lambast fucking Al Sharpton, if I'm right. It's Al Sharpton that he's
he fucking hates Al Sharpton.
Jesus Christ, holy fuck!
And I just kind of loved his he seemed really even keeled of a guy on that song, like the way he was just describing. He was like, you know, we're all good and bad. He's like, yeah, I do lots of things that are bad. Like, there's no way I don't, but I'm trying to be good. He's like, I don't want to be bad. You know, he's like, do I do bad things sometimes? So does everybody. And I'm like, you know, that's true.
But then he gets to that point in the song too, where he's like, yeah, this guy moved into my neighborhood. He was a child molester. This other guy that moved into my neighborhood, he got there by selling crack. And it's
Yeah.
okay. Like, that's just
Yeah,
the
it's like-
way people gotta go.
Yeah, and he was like, "Why would you?" He's talking about how like the crack dealer got removed or whatever.
That's
He's
right.
like, "Why would you guys would rather have the child molester?" I'm like, I wouldn't. I'd rather have the crack dealer. You know,
Exactly. I'd rather have the crack dealer because he worked to get here.
worked his ass off, dude. It's not easy to sell crack.
It's
And it says it had a Nina Simone sample on it.
yeah, and that Nina Simone sample is sick.
That was before Kanye did it, dude.
Yeah, because Jesus
like
was released well after
2013.
this. Yeah,
Well
I think
after.
2013. I think you're right. Man,
Yeah.
love it though.
I wonder if he was the first rapper to sample a Nina track.
No, I refuse to believe that.
I'm
Categorically.
not asserting that. I'm wondering.
Okay, so now let's talk. I mean, obviously, you like the fact that Carter 3 is higher than Carter 2 on this list, right?
Oh yeah, I want Carter 2 off, and I want this way lower. No,
Okay,
I mean,
so
granted, I liked a lot of this, but I want this like 450.
ooh, Jesus, like juvenile territory.
Yeah, I mean, it can have juvenile spot.
I'm gonna reserve judgment a little bit, only because I want to see what we have so much more hip hop to go, and so I want to see what other hip hop gets placed higher than this. Because I don't necessarily hate this album, but my gut instinct says that yes, it's way too high. I agree with you. I want to
Well, I'll
keep
tell
it
you what.
above Carter 2, though.
I'll tell you what got placed lower. Tupac.
Yeah, I know. Listen,
I'm gonna bring that
Tupac.
up any rap album we get to, except for Biggie, you know, which I'll bring it up then too.
Multiple biggies.
Yeah,
We haven't seen Life After Death. We haven't seen Ready to Die. So we have multiple biggies coming up. But I mean, I think about Jizza. I think about Only Built for Cuban Links with Raekwon and certainly Tupac. And yeah, you know, and hip hop is weird that way because I think it's really, really easy to get attached to people and especially MCs that you really like. You like their bars, you like their flow. And I like Lil Wayne a lot. I'm not gonna lie, but I've said this multiple times, and I'm gonna say it again right now. I prefer Lil Wayne as a feature, not as the main course when it comes to rap, because this record is fucking long, dude. Like it's like 80 minutes fucking long. It's it's really, really long, and that's where it starts to get a little bit tired for me over the course of time. But I liked it more than what I thought I would, you know, but I definitely want to go back and do a comparison of the Carter 2 and the Carter 3.
I feel like you like the Carter 2.
I feel like I did too, but I want to go back and listen to it because I feel like maybe I had a lot more stars on that one that I just put like 1 stars next to a song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this time around, as we get closer to the top, I don't know, I'm probably being less fair. You know, there's far less benefit of the doubt as we get closer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Especially we're approaching number 200, the 200 greatest album of all time.
Yeah.
And there's been so many fucking records released just by singular artists. So yeah, my expectations are definitely growing, and that's where, you know, I want to do a little bit of reserve judgment on Lil Wayne, but it's probably going to be a situation at the end of the day that I'm going to say, sure, let's keep this one on, let's dump the other one, and let's move this fucker way back. I'm probably not all that far from you.
I don't want to reserve. I'm happy saying that. So put it at 450. Drop that other fucker off.
Harsh.
You know me, cold as ice.
I know. Speaking of it, let's move on.
I was looking for the sad trombone. There it is. I just only had to hit 6 fucking buttons before I got it. But what were you gonna say?
Every time I hear that sad trombone, I literally think about a hard-on that's just shrinking, just like.
Yeah, good to know.
All right, 207.
207.
Is that you or is that me?
Yeah, I think it's me. 207. We have the Eagles' self-titled album from 1972. This debut created a new template for laid back. Wow, I'm gonna start over.
Take
I just
two.
had a stroke. Yeah.
Go.
I'm over the stroke. Okay. This debut created a new template for laid back LA country rock style. Behind the band's mellow message, take it easy, peaceful, easy feeling, was a relentless drive. Everybody had to look good, sing good, play good, and write good. Glenn Frey told Cameron Crowe in Rolling Stone. Beyond the album's 3 hit singles, songs like The Somber Waltz, Most of Us Are Sad, The Pickin' and Grin, Early Bird, Down Home Rocker, Nightingale showed a band that had perfected a sound right out of the gate. Mike, you don't
fucking record. Fucking
do you think they
Eagles. I hate
perfected the
the
sound
Eagles,
right out
man.
of the gate? Had to do it.
You know, I'll be curious to see. I mean, at what point in time are we going to get Hotel California, right? Because by Hotel California now you get Joe Walsh in the band, as opposed to these other dudes. Are these other dudes still in there? Randy Meisner, and who's the fucking bass
Pretty
player?
sure Randy Meisner was the bass player.
I'll have to dig. I'll dig.
I mean, definitely the two, Don Henley and Glenn Frey, were still in there, you know.
Yeah. And I'm sure that the bass player stuck around. I just don't remember if Meisner was a bass player or if Meisner was the guitar player. That's what I'm struggling with.
Are you looking?
Yeah, I'm digging. Digging.
Deep.
I know. I'm working on it. Getting there. And okay, so yeah, so Randy Meisner was a bass player. It was Barry Leadon is who I was thinking of on the guitar, because I don't think he sticks around by the time that you get to Hotel California, but I'm going to fact check myself on that one too. Either way, the 3 songs that were really, really good on this record are really, really good. Right.
Okay, what are those for you?
Take It Easy, Witchy Woman, and Peaceful Easy Feeling.
Yep. those are my 3 highest starred by far. Witchy Woman, I gotta say, that is an incredible song. Really, really, really good. I gave it 5 stars.
Yeah. Yep. That's the same with me. That's my only 5-star track. Take It Easy, I put 3 stars next to, and Peaceful Easy Feeling, I put 4 stars next to.
See, I have 2 5 stars. I have Witchy Woman and Peaceful Easy Feeling. Something just feels so good about Peaceful Easy Feeling. I love that one. It's so simple, but it's just like they just, the vibe that they got on that song, they have that same vibe on several other songs, but they really got it right for me.
Yes,
Peaceful Easy Feeling.
I totally agree.
This feels so good, man.
And Witchy Woman is so far removed from every other sound on this record that when I realized that track was on this record, I was kind of blown away because I didn't expect it, because it's really it's not different. Like anything else.
It's so good though, dude. Take It Easy, I only gave 3 stars to be honest. But if one thing, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, on Take It Easy, the banjo on Take It Easy is fucking remarkable. And I love the banjo work on Take It Easy, because if you remove that banjo track, then I think it loses a lot of the gas that it gets with that kind of double time banjo over the top of it.
I'd be really interested to hear what
she's gonna hate it. Don't even say it.
Linda Dundies has to say about that, because
she hates it already. I'm sorry, Linda.
And well, she's been on the podcast before, and you know, we'll probably have her back at some point. So I'd love to hear her opinion on it, because she fucking hates the banjo.
I know she does.
There's been 1 or 2 instances where we've looked at a song and she's been like, you know what, it was okay on that song. So I'd be curious to see what she thinks about Take It Easy. So let us know, Linda.
Yeah, I feel like she's going to be down with it just because of the flavor that it adds. And if you're not okay with Linda, I'm sorry.
But yeah, a lot of the rest of the album, like there's a bunch of 1-star tunes for me, like notable, but I don't really, they didn't like blow me away. Most of Us Are Sad, not really my thing, to tell you the truth. Not something I would seek out to listen to. Take the Devil, not a big fan of Meisner's vocals personally.
No, neither am I.
Yeah.
That's funny because that's why I didn't like Most of Us Are Sad. Because I really disliked Meisner's lead vocals on it.
Well, yeah, I just said Most of Us Are Sad as the one I didn't like.
Oh, okay. Because Take the Devil and Most of Us Are Sad are both Meisner on lead, and it was just like.
Well, now I feel like I'm just picking on them because I said both of those that I didn't like. But Nightingale's okay. It's decent. But it's not like it's like I'd rather have one of those other ones. But if one thing is like the Eagles definitely kind of like have their own brand of harmonies, similar, although albeit maybe not as good as Crosby, Stills, Nash, but they kind of have their own brand that's kind of unmistakable of harmony vocals. They have particularly they got these really high pitched harmonies that are the kind of their trademark.
Yeah, I think about Deja Vu being placed below this, and it makes me. I mean, I don't know. Maybe shit my pants. Definitely vomit. Because the vocal harmonies that you get with the 4 of Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young to me are so much greater than what you get here. And they're just as distinctive, but I just prefer the register that you get. I prefer the blend of Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. And I don't want to take anything away from Don Henley because I love his voice so much. I put a star next to Nightingale primarily only because it was just Don Henley's voice. And I also think Glenn Frey has a really, really special voice too. And that to me is where I don't know where Hotel California is going to fall, maybe in the top 50. But when you add Joe Walsh on top of these guys in terms of vocals, fuck, that's really good. It's tough to fucking match that. It's tough to match.
Are we gonna get James Gang on the list?
Fuck no.
You don't think so?
No. And I love Joe Walsh. Dude.
I think so.
Funk 49 is like one of my favorite songs of all time. I really love the James Gang, but I don't think we see any of Joe Walsh's side pieces on here. In fact, if we get Joe, it's only going to be from Hotel California.
Wow.
Which is my bold prediction right now.
I'm not going to bet you.
Ooh. Okay, so now I want you to answer me this question. Why does the Eagles self-titled album appear at 207 and Surrealistic Pillow appears at 467 or whatever it was? Because both songs, I would argue, have 3 tracks on them that were monster hits and really, really good songs. And the rest of the album is
Yeah. I don't have a good answer for that. I don't think anybody does. I bet if you asked the panel of judges on this, they'd be like, yeah, I don't know how the fuck that happened.
I mean, do you feel radically different in terms of wherever you're going to place this album? It shouldn't be all that far from Jefferson Airplane's Surrealistic Pillow.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I didn't really think about it until just now in terms of comparing those 2 specific albums, but I would think that they should be a lot closer than they are. I mean, I said it before that I would raise Surrealistic Pillow up quite a bit, and I'd probably drop this down a little bit, especially with us definitely getting Hotel California. This is a very good debut album for any band to have,
right?
To have these kind of monster hits that they did that still hold up today, mainly Witchy Woman and Peaceful Easy Feeling. To release those 2 fucking songs on your first album,
You're a killer.
It's awesome. Yeah. But in terms of standing the test of time, it does, but lower on the list than this,
Yep. Yeah, I agree with you. There's just a little too much love for songs like Chug All Night.
Yeah, that song fucking sucks, man.
It's so fucking god awful. And there's no part of that song that's even redeeming because musically it's terrible. And lyrically, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, we just had the
Yeah,
Grateful
go
Dead's yeah, we just had the Grateful Dead's American Beauty, which admittedly, like even when we recorded that podcast, I'm embarrassed to admit that I'd never really spent nearly enough time with Robert Hunter's lyrics. And after we did that show, between that one and this one, like I sat down and I literally made it a point. I did nothing but read those lyrics at the same time that I was listening to the record. Just fuck off.
Did you make the connection?
How the fuck can you not? Like when you instead of just listening to it as an experience of, enjoying the record, if you really make it a point to try to understand the poetry that's happening lyrically at the same time, god damn it. It's
Yeah,
just
Robert Hunter
different.
was another member of the Dead, that's for sure.
He was, and it's weird because I've always read about how he's credited in the liner notes and all this shit, and I was always just like, whatever, he's just a lyricist, bro. Totally false.
Same for the other guy, the Barlow. Fuck, I feel terrible. I can't remember his name. Something Barlow, who was the lyric writer for Bobby. So they had a kind of a relationship, just like Garcia and Hunter did.
Fascinating. Listen, either way, no offense to the Eagles, but let's lose probably 150 on you, gain 100 on Surrealistic Pillow, start to park some of these albums that were really hugely monumental with their hits, but loaded up with a bunch of other stuff, and call it good.
Yeah. Agreed. Although we do have to be careful because, as Justin was telling us, we've put about 200 albums into the top 100 at this point.
Well, keep in mind, this whole week we've been shoveling shit down. This whole week,
any mathematician is going to tell you that's just not going to work.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's probably true. It probably won't work. Fuck it. Yeah, we're dumb. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
I don't feel bad about it at all. Yeah.
Can we please move on to the two-man circle jerk that's going to be David Bowie?
Let's do it. Read it.
Okay. The last record for this week, number 206, the 1977 release, the first of the Berlin trilogy, David Bowie's album, Low. Rolling Stone says David Bowie fled to Berlin to kick cocaine, not to mention his other drug of choice, stardom. He moved into a flat above a hardware store and restarted his music from scratch, teaming up with Brian Eno and producer Tony Visconti. Low was split between electronic instrumentals and quirky funk-like sound and vision. It began his famous Berlin trilogy, though it was cut mostly in France, topped off by Heroes and Lodger. In 1977, Bowie also produced Iggy Pop's two finest solo albums, The Idiot and Lust for Life. Yeah.
While you were reading that, I had to check because I misheard you and I thought you said David Bowie fled to Berlin to get cocaine. And even though I knew the story behind it, I was like, surely it had to be easier than you don't have to go to Berlin to get cocaine.
I mean, you're living in the sea of it in LA, David. Like, why would you ever want to leave LA?
I got the good shit in Berlin, dude.
Listen, I have no fucking love for Brian Eno whatsoever, as been evidenced by the previous 61 episodes.
Even now?
I mean, I love this a lot. And I don't know how else to say it. I don't know that I'm ready to admit that Brian Eno is some type of fucking musical genius and that he secretly saved my life or anything like that. But god damn, like this record really, really fucking floored me in a number of ways.
Now, before we talk too much about it, like, I don't think Brian Eno was like super heavily involved, right? In terms of, like, I'm pulling it up right now because, sorry, go ahead.
Well, so he's credited with 2 songs, co-writing 2 songs No. I take that back. I think he's only given writing credits on one of the songs, and I think it
On the
was just
one.
just Warsaza. Um, on Heroes, which is the next album that gets cut maybe 6 to 7 months after this, he's given songwriting credits on 4. But from what I read about it, I mean, he definitely had an impact.
Okay,
right?
you know what? So he played a lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
he wrote the Warsaw. Is that how you pronounce that? Warsaza?
That's how I'm going to call it. I mean, that's what makes sense to me.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that works for me too. I was trying to figure it out all week. But so yeah, he played a lot. He played a lot of synths. He played piano. He did some vocals on a lot of the tracks. But the only one that he actually had writing credits on was Warsaza.
Yep. And to be clear, Bowie basically composed everything on this entire record. He played a ton of the fucking instruments on most of this record. And it's funny because, I grew up with Trent Reznor, and the Downward Spiral came out in 1994. And I remember reading that he basically recorded all of the tracks on that record. And I remember thinking to myself, holy fuck, man, that guy's amazing. No, he was just copying. He was just copying David Bowie, who was doing this fucking 25 years before he was doing it. And that, I don't know. It really blew me away. Like every fucking track on this record. And this record's fun because it's split between the A side and the B side of the record. So the A side has a lot of, if you read on Wikipedia, they almost call them song fragments, because they really are. They're, some of these are hooks, like 2 minutes of a verse and a super fucking catchy hook, and then it's gone. It's on to the next one, and the next one might just be that catchy hook, or it might just be that verse without any lyrics or anything attached to it.
They're like fragmented ideas that, like, I think by design weren't fully fleshed out.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
It's almost like you got more out of them by taking less out of them. Ooh. Write that down. I just said that.
But you're so right. I mean, you're so fucking right.
Yeah. Like even the first track, purely instrumental, couple cool little sections. And I'll tell you right now, one of the cool hallmarks to me on this album that came up again and again and really made different sections pop were the rhythmic changes. Okay. Like they would drop into a new section and the drums would be like house beat, like whereas whatever they were doing before was vastly different. And that's the thing that happens throughout this album is just the rhythmic changes, between the sections really make the different sections pop. Really particularly notice it on this album.
Yeah. Another fascinating thing just in reading about the background of this. So the drums were recorded. They were ran through a harmonizer, which was basically brand new at the time, which allowed them to not change the beats per minute, but they could basically change the pitch of the sound of the drums. And the snare drum in particular, like if you listen to the snare drum on this record, it never sounded like this, right? It never sounded like this at all. But by the time that the 1980s rolled around, everybody had figured out what Eno and Visconti had done to create that sound. And that literally became the fucking snare drum of the 1980s, of every fucking genre in the 1980s. Which is wild. It's wild to fucking think that they did that. And it's funny because Visconti, the engineer that kind of created that sound, he was really cagey about it because apparently guys would ask him, how the fuck did you make that sound? He's just like, I can't tell you.
Like, fuck off.
Why don't you figure it out, dickhead?
Think for yourself. Be original.
Yeah. I love it though. My favorite sound is Sound and Vision. It's song.
Dude, that's one of my favorites too.
Holy fuck, dude.
Sound and Vision. Dude, I love his vocals on that so much. 5 stars.
Every part about it, dude. The bass and the guitar are perfect. His vocals just kind of like it's like a nest. It is like the music is like a nest that was just made for his fucking vocals. It's
Somehow
just
he makes
stunning.
every of one of his songs feel that way. You know what I mean?
That's true. I
Dude.
can't disagree with that because there's not a single Bowie song that I can think of that would sound better with a different vocal tenor that's nestled in there.
Yeah. You're never ever like, man, his voice doesn't fit in there. It always does, you know, because
But
he
the
figures out how to ease it in.
but even on a track like Speed of Light, which is or Speed of Life, which is the very first track on here, there's no vocals whatsoever. But when I listen to that track, I know that it's Bowie. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's undeniably Bowie. Did he play guitar on that one? I'm wondering.
Yes, I believe so.
Probably did, right?
Yeah. Always crashing in the same car. I really loved that track. I loved Be My Wife. The piano on Be My Wife in particular was just really, really wonderful. And
Yeah.
then the last two on the B side were certainly my favorite from the B sides. And I talk A side and B side because there's basically no vocals whatsoever on the last four tracks of this album. They're a
Yeah,
little bit longer.
there's a massive stylistic difference between the A side and the B side.
Yeah, especially with Warsaza, like which is the first track on the B side, and there are absolutely no vocals whatsoever. And it's like
Well, there are some.
are there at the tail end of it, like maybe
Yeah,
in the
there's like
last
the
2 minutes?
chanting stuff.
Yeah. That it's funny though, because just about every motion picture soundtrack from the 1980s is reminiscent of Warsaza for me.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
see that. Warsaza was one of my very favorites. It's a 5-star song for me, and I loved it. I
Oh.
listened to it like probably 8 times this week. I love everything about it. It's just haunting ambience, like the dark, chilling synth melodies to it. But then at the same time, there were these gorgeous symphonic major key movements. I wrote that it was bleak yet hopeful.
Yeah, I use the word oppressive. It
Yeah, that
like
works.
it's so fucking heavy with like these just really dark fucking minor chord synths like all over this thing. But I understand where at the same time there's like some of those mellotrons or something that are playing kind of a lighter melody over the top that can make it feel light, even though you're just seemingly living in this very fucking dark cloud.
Very bleak. Yeah. And then so did you read that that was that song was used as an opener on 2 of his tours?
What?
Yeah, he used it as, which is probably crazy, man. Like, can you imagine that being the opener at a show that you were at? Like, apparently he said it was a very specific decision. Like, he wanted to lull the crowd into some kind of sense of calm yet unease or so. Like it was, and so for 2 whole tours, this song was used as the opener before he hit him with whatever was coming next. You know,
Was that was that long after the album was recorded, or was that
I don't think
like
so. I think it was pretty
okay,
soon after.
okay. Because I was gonna say, how weird to get a Warsaza opener straight into Let's Dance.
Yep, that would be crazy.
Dramatic mood change as they moved into the second song of the night.
Right. That'd be
What
I wouldn't be upset at all. That sounds like an awesome start to a show. If you
it would
ask me.
actually be fucking wild as shit.
Yeah.
What did you think about Weeping Wall in particular?
I loved it. I loved like the continuous 8th note heartbeat that was going on throughout it, whatever fucking instrument that was. There was like a really cool marimba part, maybe marimba, maybe xylophone. I don't know. I couldn't really identify exactly what it was. Something like
Yeah.
that. One of those mallet instruments. And there was a great.
I fucking loved the guitars in like the first half of that song. They were like so distant sounding, if that makes sense. It sounded to me like they were recorded across a fucking football field or something. And I
Yeah.
loved the tone of
Reverb,
that.
bro. Tons of reverb.
I loved it. I loved it so fucking much. A ton.
That's what happens when you turn the reverb up to 10.
I thought
On
it was
the
just
deluxe reverb.
so gorgeous. Like distant yet beautiful, like stunningly beautiful.
You know what
Fucking
that
loved
song
it.
was though, right? Like what the melody was?
No.
It's Scarborough Fair.
Oh fuck, I did read that. I did read. You know what's crazy is I read that and I never went back and re-listened to it to try to find that melody.
Yeah, it's just that's like the main melody in the song. It's just like a slightly changed version of Scarborough Fair.
I gotta go back and redo that now. How about
Yeah.
Subterraneans, the very last track?
Yeah, I like that one too a lot. Was that one of the ones that was written for the movie or whatever that he was making, that he was a part of?
Yeah, it was Subterraneans, and I want to say that like he also referenced Warsaza whenever he went back to the director, because the director basically listened to what he put together and was like, thanks, no,
Thanks, we're not going to be using that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy talk, son. And then he went back after the fact and he was like, this is basically what I wanted to for your whole movie, dickhead, and you fucked it up, and you told me that I was a loser.
Yeah. And just the one we were just talking about, Weeping Wall, that was the only track that was just David Bowie. Like every other track had some kind of collaborator, like that performed on it.
That was performances.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to say that one is also inspired by, I think that was a Berlin Wall type of deal, because
exactly. Yeah.
Because like the first half of the album that he recorded in France?
Was it?
I think so. It was like the first half, or maybe the first 2/3 of the album were recorded in France, but then by that time they had moved to that Hamburg by the Wall recording studio in Berlin, and that's where Lust for Life was done. And I want to say that's where they did quite a bit of The Idiot too. Although I think a good part of The Idiot was also recorded at the same studio in France, because they had a bunch of fucking time that they had basically already booked up and paid for. But okay, so we're gonna get Ziggy Stardust, right?
That can't be all that we're gonna get. I wouldn't
think we get Heroes too.
I feel like we're gonna get Heroes, and there's more, man. I'm gonna pull up his discography and I'll read the ones that I would just be shocked if we didn't get.
Yeah, because we still haven't seen Hunky Dory, we haven't seen Heroes, we haven't seen Ziggy Stardust.
We haven't seen Young Americans.
Well, isn't Young Americans on Station to Station, or is that the name of the record?
No, that's the record that came right before Station to Station. We haven't seen Let's Dance. We haven't seen Scary Monsters and Super Creeps. No, we have. That's the one we have. That's the one we have seen.
Correct. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
What's the one that has Golden Years on it? Do you know that song?
Yeah, I do. And I mean, just from the sound of that song, it seems like it should be on Let's Dance, but I don't think that's.
I think it's an earlier one, dude.
Oh, that's funny, because I thought that it was going to be later.
On Station to Station.
It is on Station to Station. Yeah.
So we could have that too.
Okay, so we're definitely missing. So in your mind, we're definitely missing Ziggy Stardust is a given, right?
That's
Ziggy Stardust is going to be
top 50.
Yeah, that's going to be his highest ranked. But I agree with you that I think we see Heroes on here. There's Changes that we haven't seen. There's Hunky Dory that we haven't seen, and there's Station to Station that we haven't seen.
I could see David Bowie being one of these guys that's like how Rolling Stone feels about Neil Young, but they just throw all his shit
them all together.
Yeah.
Yeah, like between 140 and 130, we're gonna get like 5 David Bowie records, and they're all just gonna be fucking stacked on top of each other.
We're gonna have a week that's just full on David Bowie.
I don't know that it's gonna be quite that dramatic, but I don't disagree with you. Like basically what we saw with Neil Young between like 400 and 390 or whatever the fuck it was. Like, because we caught a shit ton of Neil Young. I mean, there's only 2 Neil Young records that we're still waiting to see, right? I mean, probably Harvest Moon and Harvest.
Yeah,
Because I think we've caught every other fucking Neil Young that we're gonna catch.
I think so too. I don't even know if we'll get Harvest Moon.
Yeah, I agree. Because Harvest Moon is really the only song on that record. But Harvest, we're probably gonna get.
Harvest will definitely get. That's a given top 100.
Yeah, maybe even top 50, because that's
Maybe.
going to be the highest ranked Neil Young record.
For sure.
But you might be right. Harvest Moon might not appear at all because that's a much later catalog entry for him.
Yeah.
And I think his stronger shit was earlier.
Yeah, I agree. Wait, is Harvest Moon on Harvest or is it on Harvest Moon?
It's on Harvest Moon.
It is?
Yeah, the song Harvest Moon is on the record Harvest Moon, and that was like a 1992 release, I think. It was much later.
Okay. Yeah.
Beautiful song though. I play it all the time because I can actually play that well.
You can play really well on the guitar. Yeah.
Okay, so what do you want to do with this one? Because honestly, I love this record so much, and I've actually gone back and I've listened to Heroes a couple of times too, because I'm putting together the whole Berlin trilogy to try to see what I think I like most out of all of it.
Did you like David Bowie before? Like, had you listened to a lot of David Bowie before this?
I mean, just the instantly recognizable stuff, because I think David Bowie has probably 2 to 3 massive hits on all of his albums, and I'm familiar with all of those. But when you get into like any of the deep cuts, whether you're talking about Heroes, Hunky Dory, this, no, I'm not even remotely enough familiar with it.
Yeah, I love Dave. He's so good, man.
Yeah,
I'm glad that we listened to this one here.
I am too. So were you super familiar with this before this week?
I was somewhat familiar. Like, I've heard it before, but I wouldn't say intimately familiar,
Yeah.
But I definitely heard it.
I did pick this up on vinyl this week.
Did you really?
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Where did you get it?
At Waterloo. When I showed up at Waterloo, when we were going through for Record Store Day, I literally I wanted to look for a couple of artists to see if they had added any new records, but I knew that this was one that I could find because we had been talking with a friend of the show, Lee Stamper, about how, at this point in time, since David Bowie's death, like his estate has done a fantastic job of re-releasing remastered versions of all of these records on, like, the record that I bought is on the Bowie label, which makes me feel good because that tells me that at least his family and shit are benefiting, from all of his back catalog. And it's fun because literally right before we started the podcast, Mikey had never heard this record. And so Mikey put it on. And after we got through the A side of it, he was like, holy shit, dude, I got to listen to this again. And I'm like, yeah, you fucking need to listen to this like a million more times because it's that fucking good.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a gem.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can't wait to dig into like the deeper cuts on, the rest of his catalog.
Mm-hmm. Yep. In terms of placement, I think it's probably good where it is. I mean, because there's probably several more. I mean, let me preface this. As long as there are all the David Bowie records that I want to see on the list, then this is good where it is. Which I want to see. I want to see Heroes. I want to see Ziggy Stardust. And I probably want to see like Station to Station and Young Americans too.
Okay. So with that being said, without revisiting any of those other records that you just referenced, you're good with this where it's at relative to all those other ones being higher?
I mean, definitely Ziggy Stardust should obviously be higher. I think Heroes should probably be higher. But I love this one. But I'd love those probably more.
So I'll tell you, a bunch of the reading that I did relative to this record was the comparison of this record to Kid A by Radiohead. And there's no fucking way that I ever would have compared in a previous life this record to Kid A. But having spent as much time with it as I have, because I've at this point, I've listened to this record probably 10 times, since we started this week, and just in casual listening outside of like preparation for the show. I absolutely like it. I can't believe it's weird that I never would have. It's weird that I would have thought that what Radiohead did was so revolutionary when in reality, like, this was the blueprint for what they did in 2001. They just did it a generation removed. And so instead of, what would become kind of modern post-pop or post-punk pop with like all the sounds that he created and everything else, to me, Radiohead did the exact same thing with the alternative genre and with EDM. And they created this like crazy bridge. And thinking about it relative to what I think about Kid A, and by the way, we haven't experienced Kid A yet, and I think Kid A is going to be top 100, maybe top 50. And this is one where we talk about, the original versus the derivative. And I don't know that I now feel like the derivative is hundreds of spots better than the original. If I think of Low as the original to Kid A's derivative.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Kid A is just going to get tremendous amounts of love, which I am more than willing to heap on it. But I also feel bad selling David Bowie short, because he did this at a time that just fuck off.
Yeah, just the idea that he did this in 1977,
Yeah, and it took everybody else 4 or 5 years to figure out just how to replicate these sounds. And when they finally figured out how to do it, everybody fucking did it. Every single body did it. You know?
Yep.
And I did enjoy reading about the influence from Joy Division, because that was another one, right? Like the Joy Division influence was just all over this. Joy Division referencing this record as a huge reason for why they even existed. And so from that standpoint, it doesn't make me enjoy Joy Division anymore, but I get where it came from after listening to this.
Yeah. Like you get the melancholiness of it kind of comes from like you could hear that here.
Yeah. And Kraftwerk, right? Which Bowie said that, in everything that you read about this record, he became really infatuated with krautrock and what Kraftwerk were doing and everybody else, in Germany. And that's painfully clear, right? But it makes sense about why I would love this record so much, considering that I loved Kraftwerk. Trans Europe Express was a fucking great album. Really, really great.
It's really good. Yeah.
So with all of that being said, I want to reserve judgment a little bit, because I think that there are records that Bowie makes that I would rather see this higher than. And just on first blush, with like my, first kind of go throughs all the way around on Heroes is one of them. Like, I would probably place this higher than Heroes.
Interesting. Yeah, we'll have to see if, with a couple more listens on Heroes, if you still feel the same way.
Robert Fripp is really tough to deny.
Exactly. Yeah, he's an incredible guitar player. And he had a huge part in that record.
Massive.
Although he had a huge part in Scary Monsters and Scary Things as well. Remember that?
Yes. Yeah, I do. But his guitar work, just on the title track of Heroes, like that lead guitar work that he does on that track is fucking, it's revelatory.
Fucking In the Court of the Crimson King is not even on the list, so you got to give him this one, Mike.
That's fair. Okay, so do we want to preview what we got coming up next?
Let's do it.
All right, you go first.
205, we have Cat Stevens, T for the Tillerman.
And number 204, yay! Kanye is back in the house with his third addition to the list. This time we're going to be talking about 2007's Graduation.
203, we have Nick Drake. Pink Moon. Sorry.
Are you familiar at all with Nick Drake?
No. Are you?
No, not at all. And it sounds like it's going to be like an Elliott Smith predecessor.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah.
Okay, 202. This one shocks me. Homogenic by Bjork from 1997.
And then 201 is A Tribe Called Quest, Midnight Marauders. That one's going to be fun.
Ooh, man.
I do have that one on vinyl.
Do you have that one on vinyl? Mikey also has that one on vinyl. I don't have it, but that's just because I borrow Mikey's all the time.
You pretty much have it. Yeah.
That fucking record rips. That's going to be a ton of fun to talk about.
That has Can I Kick It, doesn't it?
Yep.
Can I kick it? Yes. Yeah, it's going to be fun. So
it also has the Midnight Marauder tour guide.
Hell yeah.
That's a killer record.
It does. Well, we're excited to talk about those when we see you guys next time, which again will probably be more than a week.
Yeah.
Until we do that.
Gonna get a little bit of a delay. Mikey's got to go see some shows.
Mike's got to go see Sweetwater 420 Fest. Give him a break. Let the man have some fun.
JB's got to play some shows.
I got to play one show. Yep. Yeah, come on. Come on out if you're here in Des Moines. I'd love to see you.
Or travel to Des Moines. He's worth it, motherfucker.
I don't know about all that. But.
Come on.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Thank you for listening, as always.
Bye-bye.
This list sucks. This list sucks. This list sucks. This list sucks. It sucks.
Clap track.